Hi Spidey fans, it's your friendly neighbourhood ultimate Spider-Man fan here. And since you won't see my introduction, I'm just going to do I'll just do it then quickly. For those of you Spy fans who don't know what to do, because a lot of you do, like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell, and follow me on Twitter as well. Type in the @, all capitals without spaces, the ultimate Spide, SPID. And yeah, so we're continuing on chapter 6 this time. Sorry, chapter. I think we're halfway through chapter 5. Chapter 6 will be in the next video, I think, because I've looked at this and there's still quite a few pages to go. So yeah, here we go. So counterpunching. So it didn't surprise Peter that even after all these years, he'd be looking to get back. He'd be looking to get back at Spider-Man. Fisk didn't know how to hurt the man, so he figured he could hurt the image. Peter couldn't worry about reputation, though he had to focus on doing what he could to help as many people as possible. Uncle Ben had said it himself, with great power there must also come great responsibility. It was something Peter had considered the night he had decided not to stop the thief who later killed his uncle. They were the words Peter tried to live by now. He had a responsibility to use his abilities the best way he could. He also had a habit of examining everything he did, picking over every move, every decision to see if he could have done better. Where there are better choices he might have made tonight, choices that might have saved Andy's life. Peter thought he'd done what seemed to be the right thing at the time. Not knowing that he'd been set down onto the board of a bigger game. If Fisk was involved, though, he couldn't afford to let his guard down. Not again. Fisk was as corrupt as they came, and Peter couldn't change that. He could, however, stop him, and that meant doing everything in his power to make it happen. First things first, though. What he needed more than anything else was to see MJ. She always talked him down, helped him feel better. She wasn't answering her phone again, though, so he figured he should go out and look for her. Turning on the shower, he took a cautionary sniff at his suit. There was a souvenir of the fight with his opponent. He'd need to fix that. It was starting to get a little rank too, but cleaning it was complicated and time consuming. It'd have to wait forcing that the outer layers were scent-proof, which meant that for now he'd be the only one who would have to live with the funk. When he took it. When he took it off, however, the sweat seemed to rise from his body in undulating waves. He thought, I'm gross. Even if Peter had examined himself closely in the mirror, in a mirror, he wouldn't have seen the tiny patch, no bigger than a thumbnail, stuck to his lower back. From the moment his attacker had torn through his suit and attached it to his skin, it had begun to blend in, matching itself to its surroundings in colour and texture. It didn't come off in the shower either. It had so I can't read this word, so I can't get the word out. Limitations, though it would dry up and peel off in a few days. In the meantime, it would. I was swallowing there. Transmit its data. It was 11:37 and Peter still hadn't made contact with MJ. He knew it was foolish to worry, but he worried anyhow. That was part of the package, and MJ knew it. So did I say that right? That was part of the package, and MJ knew that. Yeah, Peter had lost his parents when he was very young, and that had impressed upon him the fragility of the world. He'd lost his Uncle Ben because of his own foolish choices that only had made the feelings feelings more intense. He did everything he could to keep his identity a secret. No matter what, he had to keep MJ, Aunt May and all his friends out of crosshairs. The possibility haunted him every day though. No matter how careful he was, someone might learn who he was and use the people he cared about as leverage or worse. So of course he worried. More than that, he wanted to talk to the only person who knew his secret, telling her about the things that had happened that night. MJ rented an apartment near Washington Square Park, and he had the key. He let himself in, but only to make sure that the legendary Night Owl hadn't surprised him by going to sleep early. No luck there, though. So he considered his options. He might call their mutual friend Harry Osborn. The three of them had been a team for years, and sometimes MJ told Harry things she didn't tell Peter. She said it was because Peter tended to worry. Objectively he understood, yet it bothered him, mostly because he was a worrier. This, he knew, was a very vicious cycle. Besides, if MJ was going to confide in anyone else, Peter wanted it to be Harry. He was smart, insightful, and all-round good person. He also had a lot of free time than Peter, a lot more free time than Peter, unlike some people who say laboured all day in a lab and then swung around the city half the night as Spider-Man. Harry had the advantage of a rich father. It was an advantage. Did I say that first word right? Advantage. Okay, so I forgot that wrong. Peter knew that Harry would have traded away in an instant. Harry had long resisted working for Oscorp, his father's company. He'd briefly been willing to work on a pet project for his mother, but that hadn't satisfied Norman Osborn. Then again, he was never satisfied. Now Osborn was mayor of New York City, and that might have been a blessing. Running the city meant Norman didn't have as much time to, so I can't say that word, to Harangue his son, pressing. Sorry, Spy-Fans, I couldn't read what I said. I just didn't know what I said. Pressing Harry to do something with his life, he'd become a part-time thorn in his son's side. So growing up, Richard had to come with its own burdens. Though Peter might have been willing to bear burdens like that, still he thought he understood. He'd always been hungry to achieve great things, to make his own way in the world. Often it felt like thrashing around in a storm-tossed sea, struggling just to survive. Yet how did you mortify yourself when, no matter what happened, you knew you were going to be okay? Again, problems Peter wouldn't mind sampling, but he knew Harry's struggles were real. His friend had scheduled an upcoming trip to Europe, and he hoped some time away would help him out. Harry wanted to travel, to see the world, to consider his options. He said he'd be touring some of the European Oscorp facilities, but that was to placate his father. What Harry really wanted was some. Okay, I can say that word no problem, Spy-Fans. European, but I just couldn't get the word out. Sorry. What was that last word? What Harry really wanted was some distance from his father and to get his head together. Sure enough, Harry was home. It just proved that he really had no idea what he wanted or how to get it. Here he was, a good-looking 22-year-old, heir to billions, alone in his apartment on Saturday night, reading material journals. Sure, he'd never really been a party boy. This was dreary, even by Harry's standards. "You thinking about medical school?" Peter asked, as he took a seat. Harry's apartment was 4 times the size of Peter's, and furnished with things people bought in actual stores. Truth be told, though, Peter had a certain fondness of New York's curbside treasures, the thrill of the hunt and all. Harry shrugged as he poured Peter a glass of flavoured seltzer. Just considering my options. Peter took the glasses. Harry sat down across from him. It had to be hard in its own way. Much of Peter's life had been dictated by what he felt like he had to do, to use his abilities wisely, to learn as much as he could, to pay the rent, to avoid disappointing the people who cared about him. Perhaps it was paralysing, having everything handed over on a silver platter. Maybe you could look at some med schools in Europe. Maybe, Harry replied, non-committally. Then he laughed. Listen, Pete, stop pretending. I know perfectly well why you're here, he said. Sorry, Spidey-Fan, I've got sniffy nose. Sorry. Like that. Perfectly well why you're here, he said. We've been friends a long time, so you're not going to hurt my feelings. You want to know where MJ is? She's not answering her phone. Peter admitted sheepishly, and it's late. Maybe for an old lady like you, says the guy who's reading medical journals on a Saturday night. Touché, Harry replied. Then again, what have you been up to that's so interesting? Wherever MJ is, why aren't you with him? There it was, Peter Hale. He'd considered many times telling Harry the truth, but he'd never been able to bring himself to do it. It wasn't that he didn't trust Harry, he trusted him completely. It always came down to the fact that he didn't have to tell him. He could be friends with Harry and not tell him, and that kept both of them a little safer. There was a part of him as well that worried that somehow, if he told Harry Norman Osborn might find out, Harry might let something slip, or talk in his sleep. Anything. He might let out a fraction of the truth, and the relentless, clever Norman Osborn would piece together the rest. It wasn't that Peter thought Norman was bad, but he wasn't exactly good either. He liked to power a little too much. Why else would a guy in the helm? Why else would a guy in the helm of one of the most successful companies in the world decide he had to be mayor of one of the most important cities in the world? It was ego, Peter. It was ego. Sorry if I said that wrong. Peter thought, pure and simple, if there was a prize out there, Norman Osborn wouldn't. Couldn't resist grabbing it. Doing whatever he could to be the best, the most important, the most influential. I can't read that word. Influential. I've been working at the lab. Peter lied. There were sometimes sensitive experiments. It was a classic from his bag of excuses. Harry never seemed to suspect in part because there had been plenty of times when Peter really had gotten wrapped up in time-sensitive experiments. As a son of a scientist and inventor, Harry understood all too well. Yeah, you're living the wild life, Harry said. How can I compete? Look, if you're teasing me this much, it means you know where I'm there and just want to make me suffer. Maybe a little, Harry admitted. Plus, I didn't want you to go all detective when you find out that she's in Hell's Kitchen. She's what? Peter said, by herself at night? Easy, Lancelot, Harry said, and he laughed. She can take care of herself, and you know it. He did. If Peter hadn't been augmented by spider powers, MJ could have beaten him up while checking her emails. She'd studied martial arts for years, and on a few harrowing occasions, she proved she knew how to practice when she preached. Logically, Peter pitied the poor guy who tried to take her purse. Emotionally, he wanted to be there to keep it from happening. There's an auction piece for the Bugle, Harry said. She's doing some kind of feature on people who work late night shifts. I forgot the specifics. That sounds interesting, Peter replied, trying to play it cool. Maybe I should pay her a visit, see if I can lend her a hand. Give her the benefit of my years of journalistic experience, you know. As a photographer, Harry smirked. What sort of hand do you think you could lend her? Peter opened his mouth but couldn't think of anything to say. Relax, dude. Harry laughed again. She told me to let you know if you happen to drop by. Then why didn't she just tell me herself? Because if she did, then she knew you'd have to check on it. He gave Peter a look. Maybe she knew about your time-sensitive experience and didn't want you to feel obligated. Trying not to seem too eager, Peter got Harry to give him the address. Give him the address. They talked a little longer, as little as he could manage, and said goodnight, agreeing to get together soon. Then Peter left. He wasn't wearing a suit, so Peter took a cab he couldn't afford and found MJ right where Harry said she would be. It was an all-night grocery in Hell's Kitchen where she was finishing up an interview with the owner, a shy-and-polite man named Danilo Ocampo. Ocampo was an immigrant from the Philippines. He'd been working 18-hour days for the past 10 years, and in spite of owning his own business, was still having a hard time making ends meet, like the other people. Okay, I should be able to get this done. People she'd been interviewing, he'd won a lottery that would let him live in a new Fisk apartment complex at affordable rates. The piece she was writing about how Fisk's real estate ventures were going to change the lives of the ordinary New Yorkers. Fisk, Peter snapped. Are you kidding me? These days, Fisk's name was everywhere. The media loved his riches to riches angle, although Peter suspected the Kingpin never lost his fortune, just did a good job of hiding it. I'm not going to get this page done again. Kingpin lost his did a good job of hiding it. Suddenly he was New York's most benevolent businessman, putting up huge buildings full of luxury experience mixed with equally spacious subsides units, paying his workers well above standard wages, developing products designed to attract jobs. Illicitly, interest the Fisk way was theft on a grand scale, drug dealing, human trafficking, extortion and money laundering was some of the most dangerous criminals in the world. The Fisk way was power and corruption and a crocheting, I don't know what that says, at any cost. Sorry, Spidey-Fans, how can you agree to do puff piece on that guy? Peter asked. I know what Fisk is, but MJ whispered, but this is a good story. It could get me the job at the Bugle, and then I'll stick with it, because if I cover Fisk, even if it's a feature perspective, I might dig up the proof that pokes a hole in the PR balloon. Peter thought back to what he'd learned from Lieutenant Watanabe, that Fisk was still developing high-end real estate, only hiding it behind shell. Okay, Spidey-Fans, that's going to be it for this video. I'm running out of space here again. We'll have to make these videos longer. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see all you Spidey-Fans and all of my next epic Spidey videos. It's your friendly neighbourhood, the ultimate Spidey-Fan, over and out. The web.